Okay, so I'm using some of my downtime to address some of the weird shit that's coming out. This is by The Independent. Here's why California can't use ocean water to help fight wildfires. Salt water can wreck a fire, but can also wreck equipment and vegetation as well. Okay, so fire officials in Los Angeles have run into a serious snag while trying to, God damn it, while trying to contain the nearly half dozen blazes threatening the city. Currently covers 37,000 total acres. Hydrants are uh, Governor Newsom on CNN on Wednesday told CNN that the county had depleted all of our resources and the fire hydrants were completely tapped. Those hydrants are typically for two or three fires, maybe one fire. That's fair enough. And then you have something at this scale. Okay, and all right, okay, that's actually fair. Right. Satellite imagery of the fires show them burning only miles, not even miles, from LA's Pacific Ocean shoreline. How could firefighters run out of water when there's this massive body of water just down the road? Okay. Seawater, in theory, can be used to help a fire, but its salty components can do more harm than good, which is why firefighters typically avoid using it unless absolutely necessary. Salt water is corrosive and it can damage metal equipment, including critical equipment and water dumping planes, and fire pumps. Okay, hold up. This is bullshit, guys. What saved San Francisco in 1989 was the two fireboats that they were slated to be decommissioned because they were theoretically no longer needed. They're sold for scrap or whatever. I don't know. I don't care. When San Francisco's fire main broke and the city was about to burn to the ground, they connected the fire main to the fire boats. Boats pumped the water in and they put the fire out. Now, granted, San Francisco Bay's water is brackish, not truly uh, uh, salt water. Okay. It's not entirely the worst of both worlds, but it's also not the best of either. All right. Um, there's still no reason why it wouldn't have worked here. Now, this part here, oh, excuse me. Salt is corrosive and it can damage metal equipment, including equipment in water dumping planes and fire pumps. Um, you mean the water dumping planes that are already picking that salt water up and dumping it on the fire? As for the fire pumps, yeah, it's going to wear out the pumps. That's in 2 or 3 days. Right now, they need to put this fire out, and they're not putting the fire out. All right. Um, there was another part. Here we go. Environmental health is also a concern for fire officials, considering the use of salt water for battling fires. When salt water is dumped in large quantities on a fire, salt has nowhere to go, has to go somewhere. That's true. Typically into the ground or is washed up onto nearby bodies of water. It's washed up into nearby bodies of water anyway. All right. It does eventually flow into the ocean. If you test any river water, it will have a small amount of saline. The reason the ocean is so saline that you can tell from tasting it and smelling it is it's the salt is built up in there over literally centuries. All right. It's there anyway. Raising soil salinity, the salt content of the area's soil, makes it harder for plants to draw water and nutrients from the soil via osmosis. Salt can also make the soil toxic, hampering seedling growth and harm the general permeability. How easily water and nutrients can move through the earth of the soil. If you put the salt water on the fire before thousands of homes burn to the ground, you put the fire out quick, right? Now, hundreds of thousands of homes, businesses, other buildings have burned to the ground and put all of those now toxic chemicals that were stable, all right, in plastic bowls and polyurethane uh, cups and all this and paint and all of this other crap that was stable, was not going to leach into the ground and escape uh, into the atmosphere, has now leached into the ground and escaped into the atmosphere because you were afraid to put salt on dirt, which is where it came from to begin with. Here's a little known secret about salt: it's a mineral. You find it in dirt. Water falls onto the dirt, erodes the dirt away, along with the salt, gold, iron, hydrogen, whatever else is in that dirt. Dirt is a thing that it means basically everything. All right, everything that's in that dirt, whether it's salt or gold, washes away eventually into the ocean. If you had the kind of technology needed, you could pump billions of dollars of gold out of ocean water eventually. I'm not saying it would be cost effective, but it would eventually come out. All right. This is where this salt came from to begin with. And yes, it's going to damage the growth of plants over the next few years. That is nothing compared to oils and petrochemicals and everything else that is now in the dirt and in the air because you wouldn't hook up uh, the pumps, run the pumps off of salt water. What in the hell were you thinking? The only part of this that does actually make sense, I'm not even sure if it's in here. Uh, yeah, it's actually not in here, so that's fine. That salt water, because these are up on hills, the water would have to be pumped uphill with the fire pumps that are available. That's going to be a much taller order. Can you get the water up the hill in a timely enough fashion to do something? I don't know. I really don't. It's That's kind of a crapshoot. Um, but this bullshit about area salinity, environmental health, and and damage to equipment. How much damage to the equipment? How much environmental destruction did the fire cause versus what the relatively minor amount of salt caused? I want you to think about that long and fucking hard.